welcome back to Everything DIY. Today we're going to be talking about wheel spacers, what exactly they are, what purpose they serve, drawbacks, and just general things you should know before buying a set of your own. For those of you that are curious, we also made an installation video showing you exactly how to put them in, so check that out as well. Wheel spacers are pieces of round metal that go between the brake rotor and the wheel, and generally what they do is to move the wheels further away from the body. Typically there's two types of wheel spacers. There's these which slip onto the existing studs, and then there's these which bolt onto the hub and have their own studs. Usually wheel spacers that have their own studs are larger and move the wheel further than slip-on spacers. Wheel spacers have many functionalities, but one of the main reasons they're used is for fitment purposes. What I mean by fitment is usually people seeking spacers are having issues with the set of wheels they're using. Most commonly, they're not the correct offset, so the tires or the rims may be rubbing on suspension components or the body. In this instance, what the spacer does is move the wheel further away from the suspension components, neutralizing the rubbing and allowing the driver to use that particular set of wheels on their vehicle. This is the reason we started running spacers in our car, because we had installed coilover suspension and noticed that the distance between the tire and the spring perch was just much too close for comfort. So we put in a 5mm spacer and it's much safer distance now. A word of caution when selecting spacers for fitment: if you go too large, it could actually push the wheel out far enough to where it's actually rubbing on the fender, so be careful. Another main reason people install spacers is for better appearance, also known as stance. Typically, cars from the factory have their wheels tucked far behind the fender to avoid any instance of the wheels hitting the body. In this case, a spacer will move the wheel closer to the edge of the fender, giving it a more aggressive and flushed look. People seek this appearance because it looks more like how a high-performance car would look. If you're going for appearance, just sort of the same idea. Be careful when you're picking the size, because just too large and it could rub against the fender. There's a reason that those wheels are behind the fender. Wheel spacers can actually even improve the performance of your car. By moving the wheels outwards, you're widening the track width, which will improve stability and handling. It allows for faster cornering and even improved safety. In some tests, adding spacers to an SUV with a high center of gravity has proven to drastically reduce how easily the car can roll over. Again here, just make sure that you're careful when buying the size, because sometimes widening the track isn't always the best thing for performance. It can, if you widen it too much, negatively affect the scrub radius and make the handling more unstable. Most wheels today are hub-centric, meaning they center on the flange from the hub, so make sure you're buying spacers that are hub-centric and not lug-centric, because this can make your wheels become off balance since they're technically off center. Depending on the size of the wheel spacer, adding one can wear out some of your car's components quicker. Since spacers move the wheel further away from the hub, the loads are increased on the wheel bearings and axles, which may cause them to fail prematurely. The bigger the spacer, the more the load. Adding a spacer can make the steering feel a little bit heavier due to the larger track width. This is usually not felt on smaller spacers. Finally, make sure if you're buying a wheel spacer that you have enough wheel stud to securely mount your wheels. For our car, we want at least 6.5 full rotations of the lug nuts before they're tight. With a 5mm spacer, we have that amount, but if we went any thicker, we would need to install long wheel studs. Alright guys, hopefully this video was able to give you some useful information. If you want to see how we installed these, again, just check out that video right there. If you want to see more from us, subscribe. Oh, and we really appreciate if you show some love by hitting the like button. And if you have any questions or comments, please don't hesitate to leave them below, and we'll see you in our next one. Bye!